spines and long tails and long necks and, breathing fire and locking princesses in towers and things like that. But it appears to me that these legends of dragons might just be the faded memories of humans' encounters with dinosaurs. And they've been told and retold over the years. I guarantee you that if I encountered a dinosaur, I'd tell my kid about it, right? I mean, hey son, let me tell you what happened to me. And, even if he never saw a dinosaur, he would tell his kids, hey, let me tell you what my daddy told me, and let me tell you what my granddaddy told my great-granddaddy, or however that works. And it would get bigger and better maybe as the years went on, but I think these legends of dragons might just be the faded memories of dinosaurs. Oh, and then on day 6, God created land animals. Actually, oceanic reptiles were not dinosaurs. Like plesiosaurs, they're not dinosaurs. You know why? Because they had flippers. They didn't have legs. They didn't have lizard hips or bird hips. They were marine reptiles, giant marine reptiles that are thought to have lived during the age of the dinosaurs. Of course, we don't believe in the age of the dinosaurs, but oceanic reptiles, great sea dragons. But then on day 6, God created land animals, including the beast of the earth, that's large animals, the cattle, that's the domesticated animals like cow and sheep and goats, and then the creeping things, that's small animals. Everything was created on one of those 2 days, all animals. But as has been mentioned, the Bible specifically says that all animals, when they were created, were to be plant eaters. They were not to be meat eaters. The Bible says, to every beast of the earth, to every bird of the air, to everything that creeps upon the earth, in which there is life, to everything, I've given them every green herb for food. That's vegetation, plants. Well, we have pictures of dinosaurs, don't we, of being horrible meat eaters. I mean, yeah. What about Tyrannosaur? Am I going to try to tell you that Tyrannosaur ate plants? Well, did Tyrannosaur eat meat? How do you know? Were you there? Who ever saw Tyrannosaur eat anything? All we know is that the Bible says that when God created animal life, they were to eat only plants. Now, it may very well be that dinosaurs ate meat. You know why we think that dinosaurs ate meat? Particularly Tyrannosaur. Their teeth. And some of their teeth look like they ate meat. But these are dinosaur teeth, dinosaur fossil teeth. Do they eat meat? They don't eat anything. They just sit there. They don't eat anything. Maybe they ate meat. I suspect they did eat meat. I suspect they did. The Bible tells us so, that when God created, all animals would eat plants. Now, what happened after creation to change things? Sin. Adam and Eve rebelled against God's created order, and God came down and He cursed all of creation. And He cursed things in a way that changed creation from that point on. The Bible says that God will come back one day and restore things. So He will bring creation to fruition, to make it like He wanted it in the first place. But at the time of the curse, creation was changed. God changed plants, did He not? From now on, thorns and thistles are going to come forth. He changed Eve's body. From now on, it was going to be difficult to bear children. He changed the snake's body structure. From now on, you're going to crawl on the ground. It wouldn't surprise me if He didn't change a lot of the animals to give them these offensive and defensive characteristics. But we're just speculating there. Don't know. All we do know is that when they were created, when the animals were created, they were created to eat plants. And maybe the dinosaurs came later. Maybe they were mutations. Maybe He changed them somewhat. Maybe He did some genetic manipulation. We just don't know. But all we do know is that before very long, just 10 generations later, the Bible says that the world was so violent that God promised to judge it. God said to Noah, "The end of all flesh has come before me, For the earth is filled with violence. I think primarily human violence, but maybe animal violence, maybe dinosaurs, maybe all sorts of violence. Just the earth was just so filled with it, God had to destroy the earth. He says, I will destroy all these living things with the earth. God destroyed the earth because of sin and death and bloodshed and violence. So he told Noah to build an ark and bring on board 2 of every kind of animal. And God sent the flood, and all that was on the dry land died. Everything that lived outside that lived on the dry land, it says, in whose nostrils was the breath of life. That doesn't include fish and starfish, things like that. But land-dwelling, air-breathing animals either were on board the ark or they died. Only Noah and those who were with him on board the ark remained alive. Question is, dinosaurs lived on board Noah before the flood. Did they go on board Noah's ark? Well, don't know. I think so. The Bible says take 2 of every kind of animal on board the ark, and they did live on land, and I suspect they were on board the ark. Now, it may not have been much fun on board Noah's ark, but I'll promise you one thing, it was more fun on board Noah's ark than it was outside the ark, because out there, everything died. Noah's flood was God's judgment of that sinful world. Don't think of Noah's flood as a ride on a houseboat. You know, you see the pictures of the houseboat with the animals and the giraffe sticking its neck out, you know. Don't think of Noah's flood like that. Tomorrow night when you see Steve Austin talk about Mount St. Helens, that incredible catastrophe was a dinky little volcano. And it is a clue as to what Noah's flood may have been like, but it was just an unthinkable catastrophe. Mount St. Helens expands our imagination to try to imagine what Noah's flood was like, but that was an awful time. I think of Noah's flood this way. I think of 500-foot walls of water, tsunamis. I think of mud flows, like is racing down off the side of Mount St. Helens you'll see tomorrow night at 90 miles an hour. Think of Noah's flood that way, and you're in the ballpark. Think of Noah's flood that way. Noah's flood was God's hatred for sin expressed. God is a righteous God. The wages of sin is death. God is not the sort of God that will allow sin to go unpunished. God hates sin. God judges sin. God sent Noah's flood as a judgment for sin. And everything outside the ark died. You might wonder, how did all the dinosaurs get on board Noah's ark? Well, you know, I wasn't there. I can't tell you. But I do know some things about reptiles that maybe give us a clue. There have been about 1,000 different species of dinosaur fossils found. Just 1,000. Don't think millions and millions of dinosaur fossils. Think 1,000. 1,000 different species of dinosaur. And most of those species are really like they'll find one little piece of a rib bone in China and a little piece of a toe bone in Texas. And that's the kind of thing they usually find, and they build these huge models out of this stuff. Occasionally they'll find a total skeleton, so I mean it's not totally imaginary. But you know, how do you know that these 1,000 different species were different kinds? And did Noah have to take 2,000 dinosaurs on board the ark? I think not. If you look at all those things and you boil them down, we've tried to do this, and I would venture a guess that probably there were less than 50 different kinds of dinosaurs, maybe just 10 or so different kinds of dinosaurs. If you put Apatosaurus and Diplodocus and Brachiosaurus maybe in one kind, you see, you bring the number way down. And you don't have to take these thousands of different kinds. And it's also important to know that you wouldn't have to take the biggest brachiosaur you could find. Actually, if dinosaurs were reptiles, and it appears that they were, if dinosaurs were reptiles, then maybe they had the physiology of modern-day reptiles. Modern reptiles, particularly the larger ones, continue to grow as long as they live. They grow bigger and bigger. The biggest Galapagos sea turtle that you'll see over here at Knott's Berry Farm is the oldest Galapagos sea turtle. They grow bigger and bigger every year. Well, before the flood, you remember the Bible says that humans lived 1,000 years or so, and reptiles typically outlive people, the large ones do. There are reptiles that are several hundred years old today. It may be that the dinosaurs also lived over 1,000 years. And if you take an animal that keeps growing and let him live for 1,000 years, He's going to be big, right? Noah didn't have to take the biggest brachiosaur he could find.